You're listening to Answers for the Family with Allen Cardoza, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Greetings to all of you listening around the world, and a warm welcome as we bring you another edition of the Answers for the Family radio show. I'm your host, Allen Cardoza, and if you're a regular listener, thank you for joining us once again. If this is your first time, please make yourself at home as we bring you Answers for the Family. Now, each week, this show will address issues such as family crisis intervention, building self-esteem, dealing with addictions, lasting health, and so much more. Now, having over 30 years' experience working with families in crisis, I am grateful to have met and worked with some of the top professionals in many of the helping fields and skilled authors who are working to make this world a better place for all of us. Now, you all can do me a big favor. Please check out some of our past shows at AnswersForTheFamily.com to hear some informative and entertaining guests, as well as dynamic co-hosts, discuss ways for you and your loved ones to become happier, healthier, and more at peace. I'm also looking for some show ambassadors who will forward at least one of our shows to your social media group or to someone you know who can benefit from a particular show. I want you to know that when I tell you some statistics a little later on in the show, you're going to realize that we all know somebody in this situation that we're going to be talking about. I want all of you to know that I really, truly appreciate the input that we get, the questions, the referrals, the references. It helps us so much, and it's just another way that we together can make a positive difference in the lives of others. Now, our guest today is Julie Renee Doering, and she is the 100% healthy life expert. She mentors leading men and women who refuse to play small, yet are being held back by exhaustion and a need to regenerate their brain and play full out once again. Now, after launching her first business from her studio apartment in 1993, she has prevailed over her own human health challenges that includes multiple cancers, life in a wheelchair, and literally surviving death multiple times. She is the author of the groundbreaking book, Your Divine Human Blueprint. And her unique gift of healing defines the energy science of cellular quantum mechanics. What that means is, in layman's terms, is she has defined the way to regenerate the body from the cells on up and how to do it with ease. She has over 30 years' experience supporting individuals and groups in quantum health activations, from high-risk pregnancy to life-saving interventions with the critically ill, and is the founder and developer of a new spiritual science, 100% Healthy Human Blueprint. Now, she is actively training individuals in her 100% You immersion program and sees private VIP clients in her home in Northern California. Julie Renee was called the most gifted healer on the planet by CEO Space founder Bernie Dorman, and a miracle worker by actress and media trainer Barbara Niven. Julie, welcome to Answers for the Family.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, I want you to know that I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. I've had a chance to not only go through some of your books, but to look at some of the videos and see some of the really incredible things that you have done to turn people's lives around. And with this show being called Answers for the Family, I couldn't think of a better person to be on the show and a really good fit for us. So again, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now, before we discuss your brain regenerative techniques and such, share a little bit what started you on this journey, because I know that's a pretty powerful story in itself.
Yeah. I literally survived the atomic bomb testing in the Nevada desert. And a lot of people lived through that and died through that. That testing was going on from 46 to 76. And I had terminal cancer at age 24. I had 10 years of radiation treatment, 17 surgeries. I died twice. I was in a wheelchair for a year, told I would never walk without unbearable pain, and that I would eventually be bedbound and die. And there was just no hope for me living. And yet I felt that I was here for a purpose and a reason. And I was growing a bit weary 12 years ago, went into my garden in prayer and meditation, and just claimed, God, you promised me the Garden of Eden, and I'm living here in hell on earth, and I want to get better, or I want you to take me. So take me away and make me well. But I didn't want to die. He was going to have to make me magically disappear because I wasn't going to go through any more suffering. But what happened that very first day was incredible. My body, my cells started regenerating. And I was watching a master cell. Those are the stem cells that are with you from your birth, from conception. And I watched a master cell go to its perfected state from being very, very sick. And it became this pulsing blue orb. It was breathtaking. And I didn't understand what I was looking at then, but I understood it was a master cell. And what was happening in my body over the next weeks and months was that my body was rapidly healing itself and growing younger. Within 6 months, understand I was walking with canes, and I could walk like a block. I within 6 months, was running 30 miles a week on a mountain trail. The doctors had told me I would never be able to dance again. And yet, 6 months later, I was dancing on stage again with a rock and roll band. And the scientists and doctors in my world were like, what in the world is going on? Because they knew me from before. I looked very old from before, and then I got younger and healthier and more sprite. And they were like, please teach us. And so that started me defining what's happening in my body. And I've been able to share that in a very deep level and continued to investigate all these years. So I've gathered quite a wealth of information about the divine human blueprint, about how cellular neogenesis, how the regeneration of cells works, how to deeply and profoundly clear problematic programs. You might even think of this as if you were a computer, but imagine your computer, and if you never cleared the hard drive, it would get slower, work less better, because there's programs running in the background that you opened up a year ago or 3 years ago that you never completely shut off. And so usually people just trade in their computers every 2 or 3 years for a new one. But you can't do that with a body, so you need to basically clear the hard drive, and we do the deepest level of clearing. We clear over 5,000 things from your blueprint, your body, your experience of being human, so that you can live fully expressed, so that you can fully be yourself.
See, and I love that analogy, because as you were explaining it in my mind, I was kind of going there to the point of, okay, explain it in a way that we can all understand, to where we're sort of wiping the slate clean, but yet the basis or the framework is still there. You're just starting over from these initial stem cells. And anyway, I think it's a great analogy, and probably one that's very apropos for people today who probably know more about computers than they do our own bodies.
They probably do, actually. Unless you're a healthcare worker, you probably know more about technology.
Yes. So, and I know in going through a lot of your stuff, the term quantum comes up a lot, and I also know that it's become sort of a buzzword, within the self-help community. Can you help us understand what you're specifically referencing when you say quantum field of transformation?
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I think sometimes it's just used as a buzzword. People like it. It's like a quantum leap. You think of something that's going to jump, But there's two kinds of physics. There's Newtonian physics and there's quantum physics. And Newtonian physics is gravity and the apple falling from the tree. It's the kind of physics that is nuts and bolts physics. It's what you study in high school or university. Less studied is quantum physics. Quantum physics, and by the way, they were both defined in 1915. Quantum physics is, if you can just imagine, we're a field of particles vibrating. So we're all part of this field. Based on how the particles are vibrating, you get a lesser or a good response or a good result. So what we're doing when we're working with the quantum field of transformation, and I'll explain how we get to that field, is we're rearranging how your particles are working so they're vibrating better. We're not putting some foreign energy in you. We're really literally taking what's you and making you better again, putting you into a better vibratory circumstance. We're in a heavier field, meaning we're physical. We have a body. We're not vibrating as rapidly. But when you get to the love state, the unconditional love state to mastery state, that field is vibrating much faster. And so the cell shifting, the DNA clearings, the shifting in the field happens above unconditional love. So anything above conditional love, meaning the frequency is much faster and things can change more rapidly.
You know, I hadn't thought of this coming in until you just said what you did. Could that be one of the reasons, or is that one of the reasons, why we can find ourselves attracted to someone at a level that we feel like we've never felt it before? Is it because it's causing us to vibrate at a different level that we've never reached?
That could be, yeah. That could be. I think the soul recognizes the experience of joy. So, yeah.
Okay.
And joy certainly is one of the states. I think, we're in this time right now where there's a lot of fear. And fear is a very, very low vibration. In fear, very little shifts. And if we were able to, and I think we will, shift up into joy and love, things will shift rapidly on the planet.
Well, that's good to hear. Could it also be thought of as almost like a pendulum situation, to where as people swing so far over in an area of, and as you're referring to, we'll call it low vibration, that if we go too far in that direction, it actually will come back even better to a greater level of love and joy and acceptance and inclusion?
I hope so. I see this pandemic as an opportunity to grow. So what I first observed is that it's causing isolation, fear, and the interruption of good works and helping others. We're in a global deepening of fortitude, faith, and courage. So when people isolate, whether for whatever reason, people begin to go into themselves and they begin to look at what matters. And if they can unplug from the frenetic field, which is the social barrage of social media and newscasts and the fear-mongering, don't go out, stay locked in your house and stock your shelves and all of that. If we can unplug from that frenetic field, we can deepen our relationship with the divine, with ourselves, and then we can look at, am I safe? How can I help another? What can I do to return to joy? How can I stay connected with others? You might do phone calls and Zoom. That might be your choice. I know in some areas the virus is active. In our area, we're way out in the country. And in our county, there are no cases of the virus. In counties north, we've heard of one case in one county and one case in another county further north, but we're really not at risk. But what I did see was we went to do our regular grocery shopping yesterday, and the shelves were empty. And it kind of freaked me out a little. I was like, what the heck happened? And they said, well, people are hoarding. Everybody's coming in the middle of the night, and they're stripping the shelves of all the food. And so we were unable to get some of my daughter's special needs food. She's on a really strict diet, so I'm going to have to order that online. But I thought, why would people do that unless they were in this fear mode? Why would people do that behavior. So I do see that behavior. I see the movie theaters are empty. The restaurants are half empty that are normally buzzing with people. I think there's a level of don't breathe on me, that's unreasonable. But I do believe that this is to move us to light, love, and for supporting and protecting each other. So I think once we get out of that fear, we can move rapidly into how can I help someone else? And what can I do to maintain my joy in my home? And, what is there for me in this global issue? And, there's lots of people who have had their vacations canceled. Our friends had their vacation. It was kind of a second honeymoon. They had 4 days they were going to go, and the 3.5-year-old son was going to stay home. It was going to be the first time they had time alone together. And I saw an opportunity to have them over the weekend so that they could, even though their trip was canceled, they could have their second honeymoon. Yeah. So I just had an extra 3-year-old in the house for a weekend. And I think you can look at that. And honestly, things that you do to uplift people will take you out of fear. So if you help someone else, you stop living in the fear mode and you look into the what's next. This is fun. What else can I do?
I couldn't agree more. And I just had a thought, and if you'll play with me for a little bit. So I'm going to shift the show to where we're now not just on Answers for the Family, but we have convinced every major media network to put you on the air. So you're now on the air. You are visible to them as well as auditory, which is exactly, by the way, what they should be doing rather than just spending all of their time fear-mongering and or figuring out who they can blame for some sort of political gain. If they would put people on and ask the question that if you now have the 7 billion people on the planet watching, and we're saying, what techniques would you suggest or would you give people that were watching by using the quantum field to shift their brain cells for the better to be able to better deal with the situation we're in right now? What would you tell them? Okay.
So even before I would give you a quantum technique, I would give you a mindset, so more of brain plasticity, to set this day as an amazing day in your mind and allow anything other than that in your mind. This is going to be a tough day. This is going to be, this is awful, or you might not even think about the day. But set this day in your mind to be amazing. Find ways to help others and enjoy simple pleasures. Set your mind at peace. And from there, I would recommend meditation. Be very, very happy to provide a meditation for you. We have the Quiet Mind meditation. It's a free gift on our site. You can go to julierenee.com and get the Quiet Mind. It's from the Q5, the Quantum Shift meditation series. And if you don't know how to meditate once or twice a day. I start my day every day calmly. I do a half an hour meditation in the morning. And then I read for half an hour, I read scripture and talk about setting yourself right for the day. It's a beautiful way to start. The quantum techniques we use, we begin by clearing, and there's a hand movement called the quantum pump. This can be done through meditation. We're extremely effective in our clearing techniques. So if I could describe it to you, since we're just on radio, we're not having an image, but putting your right hand elbow bent, and your hand is about 8 inches in front of your shoulder. And you're going to just allow your fingers to drop forward as they drop about level to elbow level, and then bring it back up. And this is called the basic quantum pump. And I have a girlfriend, Marcy Scheimoff, when I taught her this years ago, she said, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I feel so wonderful. I walk around the house doing this hand movement, and my body feels so relaxed and at peace. So that's a really good movement to get you into the quantum field of transformation. So if you had a headache or you were feeling insecure or nervous or worried, you could use this quantum hand movement. Again, the hand about 10 inches in front of your shoulder or 8 inches, and then dropping it down to elbow level and then bringing it back up with the hand just loosely falling forward. That's called the quantum pump.
Wow, I like it. I will add that one to my morning routine.
Yeah, we have another thing that our students really love that's super simple that I would be happy to share with you.
Please.
And when you have a feeling that's not a comfortable feeling, like you have a fear feeling or an anxiety feeling or a depressed feeling where it's kind of comes on you and you're like, ugh, this feels terrible. And I felt better, half an hour ago, but now I feel really terrible. One of the things you can do is I always pray first. I say, God, you can take this. But then that's followed by, this is not me for 5 minutes. Because what you're doing is you're claiming that you are a joyous, whole person. And the interesting thing is it disappears within 5 minutes. The whatever feeling you were having, it goes away. So if you were feeling really anxious, you go back to calm. If you were feeling scared or afraid, those feelings leave you really quickly by saying, this is not me. You could say, this is not me. I'm calm and at peace every moment. And that helps tremendously.
Wow.
And we were talking about things you can do in the quantum field. And one of the things I want you to do is get out of viewing over and over again, because they're looping, these reports of where the virus is and who's died and all that. Shut that off. Mm-hmm. You really don't need to know. You could do a daily report if you wanted to. I have a daily update, but just it's called a frenetic field. That field that just keeps running and running and running, and it's a very, very, very low frequency. And so if you're going to expect yourself to be joyful during the day or be happy or to experience some pleasure, you're going to need to get out of that frenetic field. And so it is a step up in the quantum field to do other activities that bring you joy and happiness.
Yeah, I love it. And, I had a thought, and I'm just now interested in your opinion of it in regards to how we could diffuse some of the fear. And I brought this up, and in some cases I think people would think it was good, others it's maybe not. But the idea of putting things in perspective. So, if we're going to put up, a daily ticker of how many deaths have occurred, could we also put up how many have occurred through the opioid crisis or how many have occurred through the regular flu, so that people will then understand that this is actually,
small.
That number is much lower. It doesn't take away from the fact that we shouldn't be keeping our immune system strong. We shouldn't be keeping healthy. We shouldn't, let's make sure that we're clean, that we're constantly washing our hands, not touching our face. All of those things we should still do, but not have the fear that goes with it is my thinking. Well,
exactly. I think we can look at it two ways, and you can go into the fear, or you can go into what is humanity seeking to shift? What are we seeking to learn from this experience? Because understand, when there's a global experience, there is something that humanity is trying to get to. And I think you're exactly right. You think about different flus that have spread across the globe, or different, just even pneumonia, or how many people have died of cancer, or a heart attack, or yes, the drug, all the drug, horrible deaths related to drugs. And then that would put things into perspective. Why did this one go so out of proportion, where everyone's quarantined and there's no one taking any airplane trips or whatever? It's one of the things I saw was that immediately we isolated fear. Fear pulled in and set up house, And people stopped helping each other. And I think the moment you help another, you start feeling like you're in control again. And maybe the motivator for this is feeling out of control. I mean, like the motivation for fear is I feel out of control. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to wash my hands 20 times. If somebody sneezes, I'm going to run away from them. Well, we have pollen thick in our air because we're in California and it's spring. And so there's like a thick layer of pollen on the car. So there, of course, there's going to be people sneezing from pollen. But if you're deathly afraid that somebody's going to sneeze and you're going to die, it's not a level of life that I would recommend. You know what? You did say something which I really loved, which was strengthening your immune system. And you can make this a way of life, not just for today. I know people are loading up on vitamin C, but you can always have a strengthened immune system. The idea of fortifying the body so that it's impervious to infections and viral and things that spread around. I highly recommend that, doing the perhaps extra vitamins or minerals, finding out what your body needs. And if you've been living at a deficit, fortify your body.
Yeah. Yeah. And so from my standpoint, I don't have a fear that I'm going to catch this. I have a fear that that it will attach itself to me, and that I would then give it to somebody who is weaker. I have a friend right now that is just gone through lung cancer surgery. So we have him isolated. He's at home. The hospital actually said he's better off being at home. And so, but I've explained to him and to his significant other that don't let people that have been in gatherings and stuff be around him, because I fear for how it would be, that it would be to him. So, for instance, for me, if I've gone to the gym, I don't go straight over there. I go home, I get cleaned, fresh clothes, then I will go see him and make sure everything's okay. So there are things that you can do. Yeah. Because there are people that are at a higher risk. But if you also help them build their immune system, then eventually they're going to be able to protect themselves as well.
There's two ideas that I'd like to talk about here. One of them is I was engaged to a pediatrician for a year, and we lived together. And I was, going through my cancer saga during that time. And he would bring infections home, and he wouldn't shower at the office. And, the trick is shower, put on fresh clothes, and you'll never infect anyone. But I was constantly sick with him. And one of our family members chewed him out, a nurse, saying, you're going to kill her if you keep doing what you're doing. You have to shower and put on clean clothes. And then she's not going to catch things if you don't bring them home. Exactly. So that was one idea I had. And then, this was the second one, jumped out of my head. It'll be back in a moment. You were saying, the fear and isolation. Yeah, the people who are susceptible are the people who have been ill. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. So my little girl has some special challenges, and she had a vaccine trauma and some brain issues. And for her, she's been accepted in the public school for preschool. She gets to start just before she turns 4, and we don't really like vaccines, but the law requires that she have vaccines, and she needed one vaccine booster to go to school. And so her wonderful doctor gave us a protocol of like 10 additional vitamins for her to use higher doses for 7 days before she had her shot. And she had a vaccine that didn't phase her at all, and every other vaccine has put her into trauma, whether she's gotten sick or she doesn't recognize her toys or she can't talk for a while. And this one, we went through incredible ease. And I was thinking, the fortification of the body, where the body isn't in a weakened state, is really the place where even if you caught the virus and you were in a fortified state, you wouldn't get sick and die because you had such an inner strength in you. So the idea of bumping up nutrition and supplements is a wonderful idea. And then you would want to find someone that that isn't my expertise, how many, doses of what level of vitamin for how big your body is. But I would think that would be a way to really address this. I have no fear of either getting it or carrying it. I just am non-absorbent to those kinds of illnesses. So I'm not magnetizing those in. I think that fear can, though, pull things in. I think your thoughtfulness is beautiful, and I love that. But I would take out the fear I'm going to infect somebody. Just put in I'm clean and healthy, and I take the appropriate action to make sure I keep my friends safe.
Yeah,
and I would let go of that fear.
You're absolutely right. Thank you for that. And I also I want to applaud your daughter's doctor. As you were saying that, that's a doctor that gets it, and so I applaud them. There are lots of them out there, and I think that we need to make sure that we show our gratitude to those that get it and are doing everything they can to keep us safe and healthy. We are speaking with Julie Renee, and her website is julierenee.com. It's JULIERENEE. There's two E's.com. You can learn lots of information. In fact, if you're sitting at your desk and you want to open up another window, you can open up another window, follow us along, or to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Answers for the Family.
Founded over 30 years ago to meet the needs of families in crisis, West Shield has continually focused on resolving issues that negatively impact families and businesses. Our signature therapeutic transportation service helps to ensure that adolescents in crisis are safely transported to specialized schools, programs, and treatment centers with unsurpassed experience and success. We are supported by our full-service licensed investigation agency that has legally, professionally, and compassionately located hundreds of runaways and teens. We are experienced and qualified to help, offering solutions which may include referrals to our international network of top professionals in the fields of educational consulting, psychology, psychiatry, and investigations. Simply put, West Shield Adolescent Services and West Shield Investigations are the best solutions when your family is facing a personal crisis. Call 1-800-899-8585, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 1-800-899-8585, or visit our website at westshield.com. Thank you.
And we're back. You're listening to Answers for the Family. Our guest is Julie Renee Doering, and we are talking about your divine human blueprint. We have a question that's coming in, and again, I want to thank those that take the time to send these questions in. This one reads, my grandmother and my mother both had Alzheimer's that did not show up until they were in their 80s. Now that I am entering my 70s, one of my greatest fears is that it may happen to me as well. Would your protocol be considered a prevalent measure that I should begin using now, even if I do not have any of the problems associated with that disease or with my memory at this time? And that is from Beverly in Minnesota.
Oh, great. Beverly, I was born in Minnesota. You're my neighbor. You used to be my neighbor. Yes. Yes, this is what we do. First of all, Alzheimer's starts much earlier than what we realize, and then the bad effects kind of seem like a fast onset, but actually getting into your system early, pulling the programs of Alzheimer's out, is exactly what you need to do so you can completely avoid that. And I have worked with a lady who was 67, and her friends said they were really worried about her because she was being very forgetful. She was a PR agent. And I did the brain regeneration with her. And within 10 days, she was back to her normal, very clear thinking self. The brain regeneration is a series. First, it's a 3-hour process, typically, and we're taking you through a deep clearing. Then we're doing a regeneration of the parts of the brain. So the first part is really important. When I was beginning to learn about cellular neogenesis, I didn't know about the clearing part because God just showed me the cells lighting up and a cascade of new cell growth happening. But what we've discovered and what I've discovered is I could regenerate a cell, but maybe 8 months later it wouldn't hold. And that was because those old programs were still running in the background. So now we clear out all the programs in your DNA, your bloodline, your clan, group mind, lots of things that people might, I don't know what that means. You don't have to know what it means. But we clear out the stuff that would allow the body to be in a position to have Alzheimer's. And then we work with your master and stem cells in the 5 areas of the brain. We bring them up to 100%. Then we mirror the stem cells and to the surrounding cells, so all the cells that exist in your brain get a big boost. And then we start a cascade of new cell growth using the mitochondria. The mirroring process is it's like kind of like you'll recognize this when you get kind of tingling, somebody smiles at you and like, oh, they like me, but your whole body gets a little flood of light. Mm-hmm. That's in your cell. That's mirroring. It's kind of like the little cells. Each little cell has its own spirit. The cascade of new cell growth starts from the mitochondria. In the stem cells, there's a fuel generator in the cell, and it's very cute. It looks like a little caterpillar. And I have a funny way of thinking about it. Just tickle the caterpillar's tummy and out spurts some new cells. And what we've been able to do is get those new cells continuing to come out of the master and stem cells for 180 days. So essentially you're getting a whole new brain much faster. And the interesting thing is the body is regenerating all along. But as you progress through life, your cell function goes down and down and down from toxicity, from programming, from all different kinds of reasons, and we have to clean all of that out. But if you don't clean all of that out, you're still regenerating, but you're regenerating at the lower set point. And what we're doing in the brain regeneration is we're setting the cells at 100%. And then the cascade of new cell growth is at 100%. So I read 6,000 brains. I did a study over 2 years and just looked at cell function. And I was looking at, we were averaging between 6 and 27% cell function in the brain. 6% and 27%. So nowhere close to 100% on brain function with the people I read. And that was a lot of brains that I looked at. Mm-hmm. And understanding that you can set your brain at a much higher state. Now, you can heal a muscle, but if you don't exercise it, it's not going to get any stronger. Like you have an injury in your muscle and then you go through a healing process and then it's better. But if you don't exercise it, it's not going to get stronger. It'll just be a healthy muscle. And it's the same with the brain. We're going to basically heal the brain, and it's going to be wonderful. And then you can exercise it. And I recommend people learn a new language, take on a new, whatever it is. You want to study something that you haven't studied, maybe quantum physics, I don't know. But It's the perfect time to use your brain. A lot of people didn't have access to all areas of the brain because of our childhood. Boys develop really a strong use of the survival brain and the logical brain because of chemistry, the chemistry that's in their brain. Girls developed a strong use of the emotional and creative brains because of chemistry. And what we do is we even the playing field, so we get you being able to access all the brain, all the parts of the brain.
Okay, so let's take a I'm sure there's nothing that's typical, so I'm trying to think of another word and I can't, but someone who is in early stage of dementia, about how long do you think it would take for them, if they were to work with you or someone like you, to transform their brain? Mm-hmm. What sort of a time frame? And the second part of this is that what are some of the things that they can be doing in the meantime? Okay,
so I don't know if there's anybody like me. This is a thing that I brought in. So I would say that we have 2 ways to work with me. One is in community, and we have a program that's a year-long program that regenerates the entire body. We do 3 hours a month of regeneration, and then a half an hour meditation each day you do on your own. And then the other way is to work one-to-one with me. And typically I'm seeing a wonderful feeling. People feel a great deal of joy and happiness after the brain regeneration. But where you're looking for, where would I see the shifts? 10 to 14 days. You're going to experience, really, things are going to change dramatically. It might be a little bit sleepy for the first few days after brain regeneration if your brain's been strained. And that's because you're growing the new cells when you're sleeping. So you're not growing new cells when you're awake. So I always encourage people, if you're sleepy right after brain regeneration, take those naps, because your body wants to put more cells on board faster, and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And then, we continue to see incredible improvement. I can also speak to stroke, and especially if I can get to you relatively quickly after a stroke. We can restore mental function. We had a man who got to me, I think, 6 months after his stroke, and he wasn't able to speak, walk, and he was wearing a diaper. And within 10 days, he was speaking, walking, and continent again. So I think it does happen pretty rapidly. We're removing the problem, and then we're starting a cascade of new brain cells, and that it does happen pretty quick. So the two ways to do that, really working that deep level in the brain, are to either go into our Energize program. That's the name of the program. It's a year-long program on regenerating all the body systems and all the glands and organs in the brain. And the other way is to work in our Miraculous One-to-One program, where you work one-to-one with me.
Okay, so my other question then is that how does it work with a healthy brain? And let me add some more information to that. So I'm a bit of a biohacker, so I have bio-tested some products that groups have come out with, various claims such as increasing the length of your telomeres, and so on. And what I'm finding is, in some instances, I can't tell a great deal of difference, but I believe that it has to do with the fact that I'm coming from a fairly healthy point, be it if it's something with the brain or just something with the body. So how is it different then with someone essentially that has a healthy brain? How are they going to know the difference versus someone that, and you just gave a description that is, it's the signs are all there to be able to show that, look, can't walk, can walk, continent, incontinent, So how about the healthy brain? How do we know the difference? What are some of the things that we're going to see that maybe is going to let us know that we've really made a significant change?
I think that it's fantastic to do what people call their healthy brain. I think there's no time like the present to bring those cells up to 100% and refresh the entire brain and remove all the programs that have been running that are slowing your brain down. And that's one of the things I think a telomere process will not do. They will not clear all the slowdown programs or processes. So I've had quite a few famous people seek me out to do this process. Jack Canfield, who's given me permission to talk about his experience at 70, had promised his wife he would cut his travel in half because it was just taking a toll on them and their family life. And after he went through the one-to-one miraculous transformation program, he doubled his energy. He said his relationship improved, his work improved, he landed a spot on Oprah. I mean, there was a long list of life got a whole lot better. Like, I just feel so much better. So wanting to keep the top of your game going, and that I just so respect Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and Success Principles, one of the top personal growth leaders.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And I think about people in their 30s and 40s, how smart you are, in the same way that we think about fortify the body so you're not susceptible to illness. We want to fortify all aspects of ourselves, including the brain, so that our function is at 100%. So whatever we're wanting to do with our body and brain, we're able to do. And again, that concept of shutting down the programs we've opened or that have been opened. We went through difficult periods. Those things slow us down. We've been exposed to toxins that slows us down. So many things slowing us down that I think that you feel and everyone feels somewhat elated, a lot of almost a little bit euphoric because the brain chemistry is so nice that day that you get the brain regenerated, because there's nothing kind of negative pulling on you that day. It feels amazing.
Well, I would say you just brought up a very interesting point when you brought up toxins, because we are in a time, I believe, in which toxic mold and heavy metals are a huge problem, and probably going to be a greater problem as we go deeper into the future. Talk about how this transformation can clear those things out.
Yeah, we do. Well, we also do energetic detox. So I think that's pretty remarkable. And we call it spiritual detox, but essentially not just detoxifying the body with like like smoothies or shakes or green drinks or whatever, but we're detoxifying the body using the quantum field and removing toxins. And, here's an interesting idea. So, and you're absolutely right. There are toxins everywhere, including chemtrails, including, so many things that are altering us that are just in our environment. We live on the top of a mountain way out in the country, 13 miles from the ocean, and we have acreage, and all the people around us have acreage, and there's some farms and vineyards around us. And you would think this is the pristine, pure place to live. And then you see in the sky, chemtrails. Why would they do that? So we have air filters running in our house, even though we live in paradise. So we do, using that same hand movement, and there's some other hand movements. We have 13 of those quantum pump movements. You can work on doing an energetic or a spiritual detox. I think there was one thing you asked that I don't think I answered, which is, what can you do right now to help your brain work better? And there are a few things I'd like to tell you to do. One of them is to change the way you're drinking water. Most people might be drinking enough water. A lot of people don't even drink enough water. Mm-hmm. But you want to be drinking half your body weight in water each day, and in a specific way. So I'm 125 pounds. So I'm going to divide that in half. So that's going to be about 62 or 63 ounces. And you want to have water every half hour, 45 minutes, maybe just 2 to 4 ounces throughout the day, every, say, 45 minutes. The SIP 16 method, where you're doing it 16 times. Now, you may, you're just going to divide, and maybe you're going to drink a little bit more, a little bit less based on your weight. But this keeps the brain hydrated. And sometimes people, they drink the right amount of water, but they guzzle a half a gallon in the morning and half a gallon at night. And the thing is, the water will go through you and you'll pee it out. The bladder is down below. And then you'll be dehydrated during the day. And understanding that your body is a huge, mostly water. And without proper hydration, your neurotransmitters can't make their connections, and your hormones can't float through your body properly. So you need the proper hydration, which is every 45 minutes and half your body weight. So that would be the first thing that will make a huge difference for you.
Wait, and let me just add to that so that some people don't get the wrong idea. Half your body weight in ounces. Okay, folks, don't want to be trying to drink half your body weight. Okay?
Oh, my God. Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. That's funny. Yeah. No, you couldn't drink half your body weight. No, I'm sorry. Half your body weight in ounces. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Thank you for catching that.
Oh, that's okay. Silly. So, Julie, first of all, this has been fantastic, and I'm almost ashamed to say that we are out of time. I would love to get you back on, and I would love to do it quickly. Which, if my producer's listening, she's cringing now because she knows that means that I'm coming up with ideas and stuff, even if it is to come on as a guest co-host when somebody else is on or something. I'd love to have you back. I'd love to talk to you more about this because I think this is a subject that we need to get more information out there. So I will boost this show when we're done, but I will also would love to have you back, and because I think there's going to be, I even have one more comment and question that's coming in, and we won't have time to get all of them. So, but thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
It's really an honor to be here. And if I could leave one last thought, look at what's going on right now as an opportunity of growth, and look for the opportunities to love and share love. And I promise you'll get through this well.
Thank you. And for everybody out there, again, that is, you can go to julierenee.com. If you're driving out there, don't try to write it down. Just go to answersforthefamily.com. We will have all the information there. And so for everybody out there, if you're thinking that you or a friend or a loved one's short-term memory loss may not be what it should be, then that's another reason to get in touch with Julie Renee, because she'll be able to help with that. But you can also make sure and put us on your calendar and tune in next Monday when we're joined by a brain rejuvenation expert, which is Elizabeth A. Stanley. And in this interview, Elizabeth will share how her new book, Widen the Window, trains your brain and body how to thrive under stress and recover from trauma. So please, get a chance, visit our archives of past interviews at answersforthefamily.com, or you can subscribe to our show through iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Spreaker, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and there may even be more. If you like what you hear, please leave a review. It helps us reach more people, and want you to know that we greatly appreciate it. The next time you're on Facebook or Twitter, please remember to stop by our page, check out some of our latest posts, and if you like them, please like us, spread the word, and for everybody out there, be good human beings, and be with us again next week on Answers for the Family.
You're listening to Answers for the Family with Allen Cardoza, right here on LA Talk Radio.